Namaskar. There is a big difference, as my teacher used to say. There is a heaven and hell difference. It means very big difference between civilized person and cultured person. Civilized person is the person, when you hear this word civilized, what do you think? He uses fork, spoon, knife, salt shaker. He is not putting salt with the hands. And then you can talk about culture, you can talk about cinematography, you can talk about literature and music, and interesting person, and he is well behaved, very polite person. That is what we call civilized. And our civilization is the collection of different usages, different customs, how to behave, how not to behave. There are limitations. Some things are forbidden, some things permitted, some things are encouraged. So that is the civilization. And within the modern civilization, where there is rewards and punishment for certain behaviors, we behave as a decent people. But when the external situation changes and something which was not permitted before becomes permitted, then the behavior of the person also changes. So there is a very, very thin film of civilization, very superficial. If you allow the beast come out of yourself, if there is no social pressure, suddenly the beast roars and you find that you are not a civilized person, you are a barbarian. This is what is happening. So civilization is not a panacea. Civilization is only a beginning stage. The real panacea is culture. I remembered there was this artist, it's called Marina Abramovic from Belgrade. So she staged a performance. In that performance she put 72 different tools in front of her, and some of them could be pleasant, like piece of cake and wine, things like that. You can, with those things, you could give a pleasure to her. Some things would be characterized as a pain-giving. A thorn, a knife, scissors, nail, these kind of things. And some were deadly, like there was one pistol with a real bullet inside. So she wrote one note and she said that this is the performance. You can do whatever you like with me. I am taking all the responsibility. You are not responsible for anything you do to me. So guess what happened next? So people were pushing and pushing the limits of what is allowed, what is possible. They were touching her, they were kissing her inappropriately. Then they started to give pain to her. They created some scratches on her body. They, inserted the thorn in her body. And then in the end of the performance, 6 hours later, she was with a torn cloth and with many, bleeding in different places of the body. And she was completely shocked. And one hair, become gray. So, and then when she suddenly became alive, she was just like there, standing, not moving, but looking. But the moment the performance is ended, she started to move. Those people who were torturing her, they just ran out of the gallery. And the gallery, you understand, it's just like, very supposedly civilized people, cultured people. They go to marvel at the, paintings and, beautiful things. So they were the people who giving her tortures. 6 hours. In 6 hours, human beings become a beast. There's a very, very thin kind of line. We are living in society, thanks God, in this society. Some things are not allowed, some things are allowed, so we can live peacefully in harmony, develop our human potential. But are we cultured? I don't think so. Culture is something different. If you are cultured, and then external environment changes, something which was not allowed will become now allowed. Will you do it? No, because you have indigestion towards those things. You cannot take those things. You cannot give pain to others because you are a cultured person. And that's the difference between being civilized and being cultured. So how to be a cultured person? Culture is movement from animality to humanity, from humanity to divinity. What is that movement? That movement is nothing but the transformations of your emotions, transformation of your instincts. When you slowly acquire human emotions. Now it is very superficial. We know that we should behave like this. But inside, and if you are given freedom, what you are going to do? You should ask yourself. And if you understand that if the barriers are removed, I will do this, and that, that means civilized but not cultured. So how to develop culture? In my opinion, word culture comes from the word cult. Cult means to cultivate, like agriculture, for example. There is a tomato and there is some kind of weeds and grass. So you remove the weeds and grass and you fertilize the tomatoes, you water the tomatoes. So you remove undesirable things and you cultivate the desirable things. So that is also human culture. We know what is desirable. Love, compassion, wisdom, peace, harmony. What is undesirable? Aggression, anger, jealousy, greed, attachment. So the process which allows you to transform the lower into the higher, that is called cult. And the sum total of all expressions of cult is culture. So moral values, practices of transformation, that is cult and culture. And then you become a cultured person. If you feel pain, like even in Tantra it is said that Matsamanam sarva bhute sukha dukha divi iti jatsattvika gyanam tan matsya parikirdidam. Feeling the pains and pleasures of others as your own pains and pleasures is a special sadhana called matsya sadhana. Special practice. So when you develop that compassion, when you developed, I was impressed with one story one monk had to tell. He was in jail and then he was tortured in that. When he was released, he spoke to his teacher and then his teacher asked, so how was it? He said, yeah, it was dangerous. And then he asked, what dangerous? Maybe there was some danger for life, this and that. He said, yeah, of course, those things were there. But the danger was that at one moment, I almost felt anger towards the people who were torturing me. At one moment, I almost hated them. That was the real danger. So for him, the danger was to descend from being cultured person to a barbaric person. So this is really true culture of a human being. This is where we should aim at. So two things I was telling. Number one is cult. A set of values, not only values, but also practices. Like when I started to do yoga, when I started to do meditation, when I started to follow vegetarian diet, it's just like a fog has disappeared from my eyes. Everything has become clear, and then I start to experience life in much more acute way. I start to feel the joys and suffering of others. That's the transformation. And normally people don't feel that. They are indifferent to the world. So it is an emotional transformation. You are changing one emotions to other, higher emotions. And another part is, a very important part, is ideology. Ideology, the very word ideology is disliked because we had some ideologies that they caused suffering in life. But nevertheless, we all follow the ideologies. Some people don't admit, but there are ideologies. There are philosophies, there are ideologies of life. So some ideologies, they are defective. And because of their defects, and we're all guided by ideologies. You understand? It's like nobody is without ideology. It's the values. So defective ideologies, they create defective world. So, since we're always with ideology, and we cannot exist without ideology, we need to find such ideology that is free from defects. And then our life will become defectless. It will be perfect. The life is going to be perfect. 4 types of ideologies exist. Number 1, matter-centered ideology, materialism. Matter is the beginning of all. Consciousness is just byproduct of matter. Materialism, communism is expression of that kind of materialistic ideology. The result of this ideology is that the mind becomes crude. As you think, so you become. The matter becomes the object of your ideation, adoration, the value. You think that matter is everything. I am body. Not even mind. I am the body. So with that kind of perspective, with that kind of paradigm, there will be a certain behavior. You believe yourself to be a body, then of course, the body becomes primal entity. Not the mind, not the spirit, but the body. So it is a defective ideology. It turns a man into a beast. Like my guru has said, something may sound controversial. He said, capitalism turns a person into a beggar, and communism turns a person into a beast. Capitalism also not good. It turns a free man, into a beggar. There is no freedom. There is economic dictatorship. That's what is the condition. So anyway, I'm coming already to the capitalistic ideology. It is called as a self-centered ideology, egocentric ideology. I exist, and the world exists. There is a duality between me and the world. I'm not part of the world. Rather, the world is my playground. It is for me to exploit it, to own it, to dominate it. That's self-centered ideology. What's the problem with self-centered ideology? There is one planet Earth, and there are 7 billion people who wants to own it. Guided by that kind of ideals, by that kind of ideology. The slaves don't want to don't want to end the slavery. They want to become slave masters. So given the opportunity, everybody wants to own the earth. And, I grow, I become more powerful. And then I want to own the earth, and you want to own the earth. So we are going to clash here. We are going to have a conflict for the area of influence. For, you know, this is my domain, this is your domain. We are going to clash. Because there is no idea of unity. There is no idea of that. It creates win-lose psychology, not win-win psychology. For me to win, you have to lose. This. And then it has created numerous bloodbaths in the history of humanity. Numerous. Destruction of the native people. Different genocides, different unspeakable atrocities. And the reason is ideology, is the worldview. It's not any objective reason, it's here. Of course, objective reasons are also like development of technologies and, you know, the man with the stick, he cannot really dominate the world, but with the steam machine already can do something. And with the, you know, with the better equipment, you can do even more. But anyway, that's the situation. So this self-centered philosophy will always create atrocity in life. So it is now, it has been accepted as the universal ideology for the world. Self-centered philosophy. Then, next is idealistic philosophy. Idealistic philosophy, matter-centered, idea-centered. So idea becomes all in all, everything. For idea, I can kill and I die. This kind of attitude. Idea can be very progressive, very good in particular circumstances of time, place, and person. But when the circumstances change, idea may not be good. But once the idea is accepted as an absolute truth, and then we live for that idea, it creates also atrocities. So religion is that kind of idealistic philosophy, idealistic ideology. It is centered on the idea as an unchangeable, eternal truth. Something temporary, something imperfect, accepted as eternal and perfect and changeable. And then the only ideology that can save us, that can give us the real shelter, is the truth-centered philosophy. Originally, my master called it God-centered philosophy. But I deliberately avoid the use of word God, because when I say God, then it becomes religion. In normal understanding, God is something connected with religion. But when I say the word God, I think not a mythological entity. I think the goodness. I think the order of things, the eternal truth, how the universe is made. That is what God is for me. So searching for that God, for the ultimate beauty, for the ultimate harmony, for the ultimate truth, is what is God-centered philosophy and ideology. So, in that kind of ideology, we base the things on science, because science is searching for truth. In the framework of idealistic ideology or matter-centered ideology or individualistic philosophy, the science is serving those ideas. It is not serving the truth. But in the God-centered philosophy, truth is enshrined in the highest position. And then we can research, we can find out, we can study, we can find what is good, what is better. So then our world is going to change. And then also, God not only means truth, but it also means goodness. So the cult of goodness, of what is good, humanly, civilizationally. There is a definition of what is ideology, what is real ideology. It comes from the definition of idea. Idea is a state of psycho-spiritual parallelism. When your mind is in tune with God, that state, that particular state, is called idea. Your mind is in tune with God. It means you're driven by love, by compassion, by altruism, by kindness. So that kind of state of mind, that kind of understanding, that kind of thinking is called idea. Also idea, like Archimedes, he says, Eureka! Then suddenly I found something. Like he was thinking about something. Then, opened. Some window have opened. Outlet towards the truth. And then he could see clearly, yeah, I found it. So that is also idea. Like when you're in tune with that highest truth, you just like, your eyes open and you see clearly, yes, this is the truth. So that state of Eureka, that state of clarity, that's the idea. And then there is ideation. Ideation when the glands support the idea. I give you an example. For example, in our context, the idea is represented by mantra. Baba Nam Kevalam. Consciousness is all there is. The idea of oneness. That on spiritual level, we are all one. This idea of oneness is difficult to grasp with a narrow mind. But if you think a little bit more, you understand that, yes, we are one. Like this tree is standing there and breathing. Just standing there and breathing. And I'm breathing what the tree is breathing out. I'm breathing the oxygen and the tree is breathing my carbon dioxide. So we are connected. There is a unity. But that on the physical level, this unity is somehow not apparent. But on the spiritual level, there is only unity. There are no two things, there is only one. So this understanding of unity is represented by the idea of mantra. Bhavanam Kevalam, consciousness is all there is. And then the feeling of love, feeling of inspiration, feeling of bliss that comes from that idea, when you rub your mind against that idea again and again and again and again, when you sing, when you repeat, and then you try to ponder and penetrate that idea, what happens to your body and mind? Your body starts to secrete the hormones that you feel love. It's not you imagine love. That's the problem with civilization. We know how to behave. We don't feel it. There is no ideation. But the idea produces the ideation. The idea when brings the mind in parallel with the truth, that produces the ideation. Now, ideology. When this idea descends and penetrates at the psychophysical sphere, it is called ideology. So let's say Bhavanam Kevalam is idea. Then our feelings of love and bliss and inspiration, ideation. And then principles of Jama Niyama, or more concise, the principle of Atma Mokshartam Jagat Hitaya Cha, I live for liberation of my soul, for refining the consciousness within myself, and I live for the service to the entire living world, and non-living world also. So that's ideology. I live for development and for service. For liberation of myself, spiritually, and for the service of others. That's ideology. Because that it translates the feelings. Once you're inspired, once you're compassionate, and once you're loving, that becomes your priority. You want to live for that. You want to amplify your love and compassion and inspiration. And then you also want to express those things to serve the humanity. That is true ideology. That is truth-centered ideology. If you do thousands of millions of experiments, you will finally come that the really proper way of life is this. The happiness that the maximum happiness I can experience when I follow these priorities of life. Liberation of self and service to humanity, service to the universe. This is called God-centered ideology. This ideology is going to save humanity. All other ideologies, they endanger humanity. They bring us to the brink of extinction. And I hope that the people with power today, they might, self-preservation instinct. I just pray that their self-preservation instinct will kick in. And they'll say, yeah, we are moving towards the disaster. Let us change our ideology. Let us start to change the ideology. But if it will not happen like this, it has to come from grassroots. There has to be a revolution of consciousness, a shift of paradigm. In next video, I'm going to talk a little about how the spirituality is going to be established in the world. What are the 3 stages of establishment of spirituality, and how this paradigm shift is going to happen, and how are you also involved in that paradigm shift. Every one of us, we should not rely now on the rich people or powerful people. We should rely now on ourselves. Let the rich and powerful do their job. Let's hope common sense will prevail. But let us do our job. And first, you have to manifest that philosophy of ultimate goodness in your mind, in your consciousness. Any civilization, any nation, any country who accepts that ideology as the paramount ideology of them is going to become a civilizational magnet. Is going to draw everybody, because in the hearts of our hearts, every one of us, we want that all that craziness, all that irrationality, all that destruction should stop. And that rationality should prevail. That we should establish the world where we cooperate with each other, love each other, where there is no high and low, where everybody has a rightful position of freedom. And everybody, if you are good, I am also good. Because that's how it is. Either we are all together happy, or we are all together unhappy. There is no winners when there is atrocities, when there is suffering. There is no winners. Because today you are causing the atrocity, tomorrow you are going to be a victim. Tomorrow you are going to endure. Because that is a karmic kind of cycle. So the only rational way of behavior is goodness. And for that, we need to have spiritual cult, means the practices, allowing you to know the divine within yourself, to discover the divine within yourself, and slowly, slowly direct the energy from animality to humanity, from humanity to divinity. So we need the cult, and we need the ideology. These are the things that will save us. Nothing else will save. Nothing else. Technology will not save. Technology is accelerating our rush towards the abyss. Only ideology is going to save, not technology. I don't want to live in a totalitarian world. And all those ideologies, they create totalitarian world. They deprive humanity of freedom. Matter-centered philosophy is a totalitarian philosophy. Self-centered philosophy, eventually, it is based on liberties, but liberties for the, doing business, basically. It creates the society where there is political democracy, which is not democracy at all, but economic dictatorship. We need different. We need economic democracy, where everybody is free. So, it creates a totalitarian society. And idealistic philosophy also creates totalitarian society, because it has to suppress rationality. Every one of us is rational. We are thinking like, yeah, is it okay? Maybe 2000 years ago it was okay, but now? So that rationality has to be suppressed for the idealistic philosophy, dogma-centered philosophy to prevail. So everywhere we find prison. Everywhere we find restrictions. And in my heart I want freedom. That freedom can only be given by God-centered philosophy or truth-centered philosophy. Better to say like this, to avoid religious connotations. So, very simple. Become embodiment of God-centered philosophy, truth-centered philosophy. And then make others also accept that. Simple. But a lot of job, a lot of work to do. And we have to start as soon as possible. I'm trying, but I need help also. I believe that many people feel, I think what you're listening now, you feel that it resonates with you, you know. I don't have to tell you for you to understand that. You know it yourself, in the heart of your hearts, in the core of your heart. You know this is what you want. It's like awakening. Okay, Dada said, yes. Actually, this is like that. So it's an awakening. It is there, but needs to be awakened. So we need to go on awakening the people. Yeah, so thank you very much for listening. Write what you think about these things. It's a causal level of our existence. Material level is something that we see explicitly, but something implicitly. In an implicit way, it is there and defining our existence. So why we don't try to change that implicit level on that level? My master, he, sitting in a village in India, where there is no university, no colleges, he could create such a vision. I'm amazed. The books that he wrote, I'm reading like, wow, how? The man with the universal knowledge. The man who has known himself. And that's why known the universe. So these things, it comes from him about these different ideologies. He also predicted that there will be a fight between these different ideologies. And one will go, one will disappear. First, the matter-centered will disappear from the earth. Then self-centered will disappear from the earth. Then for a time being, the dogma-centered will. Idealistic philosophy will rule for a short time, because people will be immediately, no, we don't want. And then the real ideology will come. And then the golden age will come. So I believe it very strongly in my heart. And I only believe, I also want. And I know if I want, it will happen. Because how to predict the future? You create the future. That's the best way. In my heart, in the core of my heart, what I want freedom. Entire humanity, entire human race should enjoy that. Real life. Real life is nothing but being established in the divine. People give too much importance to money, and of course we need. Sometimes I also feel like, yeah, how to survive, this and that. You need money, you have to think about it. But we give too much importance to it. We need to give some importance. But when we give too much, we miss out. You can be really a poor person with billions of dollars, but so poor. You're missing out on real life, real existence. There are great things just inside, like that. You close your eyes, you smile. You close your eyes and see. See so divinely and deeply. That kind of awakening is ahead of us. We are moving towards ideational civilization. Remember, ideation is inspiration, love, compassion. We are moving towards that ideational civilization. And man in the state of ideation. What a beauty of a creation it is. If the person is ideational, you don't want to leave that person, you just want to be nearby. With many of my teachers, I got that kind of feeling. I just want to sit by his feet, just doing nothing, whatever. I can sweep the floor or just be near person in ideation. So, the gold everywhere, every human being is a great genius, sleeping, not awakened. Even spiritually, there are many kind of spiritualities which are not spiritualities. Or awareness. So what, awareness? If you don't touch the divine, we inside of you, what good is that awareness? That is only awareness of the thoughts on physical existence. What about awareness of divine? We are to awaken. And there is a beautiful existence ahead of us. I am thanking the providence every day of my life. Thank you for giving me ideology, for bringing me to the spiritual cult where I can touch you. Yesterday I was singing Baba Nam Kevalam. And when I was singing, I was thinking, like, I felt so special. I felt a miracle. I felt wonder. So I was thinking, me is just a mortal. But I can speak these words. Bhavanam Kevalam. How lucky I am. I am touching the truth. I know. Maybe not completely. Not with the crystal clarity. But I am touching the truth. My consciousness interacts with the divine consciousness. I feel it. That divine touch beyond. I asked my Dada, my teacher of meditation, who is a monk. I said, Dada, you are 25 years monk. Don't you regret anything that you missed out on the, some physical pleasures and things like that. He said like this. He said, you know, 1 second with the divine is worth all the pleasures of the universe. And I have got so much of it. I said, Dada, thank you. So how great is that? An opportunity to touch the divine. So, don't sleep. Be awakened. It is so simple. It is so simple, but not so simple. It is the path. You are to develop your sensitivity. You are to develop your subtlety. Because the mind is just like a mad monkey. It's going everywhere. It doesn't obey you. It doesn't go inside. For many people, don't understand what it means to go inside. What inside? Where the heart, kidneys, intestine, what is inside? Into the very cave, into the very, very, very cavity, the secret cavity of your mind, of your eye, the one who is thinking. That I am knowing, and in that I-ness, there is a great reality, which is divinity. So, looking inside and touching the divine. Oh, if you have $10 billion and you don't have that, it means you have nothing. But if you have that and you don't have anything else, you have everything. You don't need much. So, yeah, but yeah, I got awakened by, you can say, lucky circumstances. But what about everybody else? I was a young boy, 20 years old, and we were singing Babanam Kevalam 5 days. 5 days non-stop. At one time I became so high, I was just like, I will now fall down. I feel so, beyond my body, beyond my mind. I'm just, only one regret was there. Why I can experience? Why not everybody else? So that kind of regret I have. I have everything I need in my life. But what I miss that you also enjoy what I enjoy. And we enjoy together. This is what I want. The entire planet. Imagine the entire planet. No borders. No states. No exploitation. Divinity. Exhilaration. Bliss. Love. Harmony. And also animals. And plants. And insects. And we're all living together in one ecosystem. Happily together. Like in India, there is one, this place, Rishikesh. It is forbidden there to eat meat. No? They are not selling anything. Oh, you cannot believe. The animals. It's not like you will not see the pig. Civilized person with a fork and knife eating the pig with the apple in the mouth. The piglet. Not like that. Everybody is vegetarian, and the cows, the dogs, they're so happy. There is such a feeling of happiness emanating from the houses. This is a little bit maybe my craziness, if I say like this. But this is my experience. When I look at the houses, I feel there is an unhappiness coming. Like I was in one place. And I just feel that there is unhappiness coming from that house. And many other houses also in the locality. And I was in another similar house, similar architecture, but what I feel is happiness. So in India, in that kind of place where is it called, like, it's a place for yoga. and it's not allowed to eat meat there or alcohol. I just feel happiness from everywhere, going from everywhere. Why don't we build this kind of world? Why we should be depressed all the time and unhappy all the time? So many people taking antidepressants. Why? This is ignorance. A golden age is waiting for us. Golden era is waiting for us. It's a little bit change here. Become truth-oriented. Divinity-oriented. So, thank you very much. This was the second round. Sometimes it happens to me. No, I finished my thought, then another thought has come. And then I go on again. So, thank you very much for your kind attention. I love you very much. And I believe very strongly in my heart, I believe I'm very much optimistic. I believe we are going to create a beautiful world. Namaskar.